I hope that Charvarius Ward isn't falling into that category. I'm going to give Nick Bosa enough benefit of the doubt to tell you even great players have bad games, and hopefully his worst game of the year was just played, and he'll be better than that. Fred Warner exceeds his reputation, I think, just about every single time I watch him play. So who right now do you think is leaning more on their nameplate's reputation than production? Who do you think?
I'll give you a couple.
Yeah.
Mooney, 31 coverage snaps, targeted 4 times last week, gave up 3 catches for 67 yards. That's a 116 passer rating when targeted. 37.6 PFF coverage grade. He's not playing like a number 1 corner. I don't think he ever really was, but I'm sure he thinks he's a number 1 corner, and he's not.
He sure was last year, man. He was really good last year.
I don't think he's ever been a true number 1 in my opinion, but he's still been good, but he's not been as good this year. We mentioned Campbell already. Campbell's just flat out stealing money. He's been absolutely awful. Who else? I'll give you another one. Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel is looked like he was gonna have a great camp. Showed up in great shape. He's been very quiet so far this season. He doesn't beat man coverage, and he no longer is a threat as a runner. He's run 15 times for 36 yards. That's not good.
Right. That's
Niner receivers.
Guarendo numbers.
Yeah, exactly. Ike Guarendo's like, hey, man, give me my football card back. The Niner receivers, Damon. Now, to me, this is the most damning stat. All this talk about Kyle's got to do this and Purdy's got to do that. And, this is the idiot take that I can't stand, that I've heard a few times this week. Purdy has just got to stop playing hero ball. Oh, God. I mean, tell me you're a fucking idiot without telling me directly you're a fucking idiot. Say that. Here's the stat. 49er receivers are averaging. This is an NFL.com stat, not a next gen or a PFF. We made up the stat while we were at lunch today. This is a NFL.com actual stat. 49er receivers are averaging 2.8 yards of separation per target. Doesn't sound like a lot. Why? Because it's not a lot.
It's not.
It's the worst in the NFL. Worst. So when you're sitting there going, Brock's holding the ball, he's playing hero ball. Go watch the Baldy breakdown yesterday on Purdy, where he's like, what's Brock supposed to do? What's Brock supposed to do? Who's open? He's ready to throw. They're in the red zone. The pressure's bearing down on him. Who's ready to catch it? You look up, everybody's wired to their corner or safety or linebacker. Nobody was open. Manuel Acho did the same video. He's like, the Niners are slow. Look at this. Nobody's open. Nobody's open. So Deebo's at the top of the list. He's got a huge name. You say Deebo, and it's like, Deebo? Oh, my God, Deebo. Deebo could have his own clothing line. Kay Adams has got him on there regularly nationally. He's got 15 carries this year for 36 yards. So he's a total 0 as a running back, and he can't get away from man-to-man coverage. And guess what's happening now to the Niners? Because guys like Deebo can't beat man. You're getting a lot more man coverage.
Yeah.
So why is Brock Purdy running? Because that's what you do when you're the quarterback and you drop back to pass and you're getting man coverage and your receivers are all covered, but the defense turns their back on you. You have to run. And Brock knows how to play the position, so he is running. So this stop playing hero ball. What do you want him to do? Nobody's open. Nobody's separating. You can only throw, Damon, a small percentage of 50-50 balls in a game before, guess what? 50% of them become picks. And if 50% of your 10 passes in the second half become picks, you had 5 picks, and people are talking about how you're not the guy. He's not him. So I think they're not getting separation. The O-line, and I feel bad too, Damon. The O-line's getting unfairly blamed because You know why? Because it's easy to blame Jake Brendel. It's easy to blame Colton McKivitz. It's harder to say Deebo's done. It's harder to say Kittle's slow than it is to say McKivitz, Brendel, those guys suck. That's the easy take. It's harder when you're sitting there wearing, you just got your number 1 jersey out of the wrapper. It's hard to say, oh, yeah, the guy I just bought the jersey of is slow as hell and is a shadow of what he was.
Right. Number 19 was a lot better than number 1. Okay.
Right.
No,
right.
Number 19 was a lot better than number 1. And it's reflected in the numbers. To me, the most damning stat of the year, since that's where we are in this conversation, is the yak yardage. How do you go from number 1 to dead last in something? I mean, that to me is a tremendous fall off. And there's no small sample size of, hey, we've only played 1 or 2 games here. It'll all, the market adjustments coming. You're 5 games into the year now. And not only do you not separate, but then you don't run past once you catch the ball. So it's basically every single Niner, if they do catch the ball, they get tackled at the catch, just right there. To go dead last,
because the defender's right there.
When you are built to be team yak yards is pretty damning. That to me is the biggest concern that this offense is having right now, not Colton McKivitz.
They don't have a complementary group of wide receivers. They have a redundant group of wide receivers.
Right.
It's kind of like the Dolphins.
Just a lot of
Dolphins have a redundant group of wide receivers too, except they're all burners.
Right.
Tyreek Hill's a 4-3 guy that, not the greatest route runner. Oh, but guess what? Jalen Waddle's the 4-3 guy, but he's not the greatest route runner. They got A-Chain and he runs in the 4-3s, but he's kind of a little inconsistent. I mean, they got tons of speed. What they need is, they need their Ayuk or their
Jennings.
They need a Juwan Jennings. The Niners are all these Juwan Jennings. Juwan Jennings ran 4.7. He's faster than that. Well, okay, but he ran 4.7. Deebo looks slow. Ayuk is their speedster. He's not a burner by any stretch. He's not a Xavier Worthy. He's not a sub 4.4 guy or even a mid 4.4 guy. He's a middling runner, but on this team, he's their go pattern guy. Cowing's fast, but can't get on the field. Marshall's fast, but can't get off the practice squad. Pearsall's got some decent wiggle, and I think he could be really helpful in the red zone, but he can't get out there yet either. He's not ready. So, I mean, they're leaning on their big name guys, Deebo, Ayuk, Kittle. I mean, and they're not doing it. They're not doing it. And the lack of run after the catch to go from first in the league to 30th in the league shows that, you know what, your receivers are too slow. You got to take Ronnie Bell. I mean, I hate to say this because it's blaming Ronnie Bell for all that ails us. And I'm not. Please, Ronnie, if you're watching this, I'm not hanging I'm not hanging everything that ails the Niners on you, bro. I'm not. He's a solid guy. He's a solid receiver. He's totally redundant on this team. He runs a good route in theory. He's got decent ball skills in theory. He's not a burner. He's relatively slow. They need to replace one of their relatively slow guys with somebody who can freaking run. And somebody who can scare the defense. Somebody who can create space. Offensive football is about creating space. There's no space on the field. That's why they're not getting any run after the catch.
Now,
so they got to make it's a personnel thing. They got to find some more dynamic speed.
Bad news. The one guy who's going to show up and maybe change things, Ricky Pearsall, is a redundant guy. Another one of those, not a burner, good route runner, good hands, possession guy, but not a burner, not a route guy, not someone who just escapes man-to-man coverage. That's his reputation.
You know what he is, Damon? No, you're right. You're right. But you know what he is? He does have what Deebo and Ayuk don't really have, which is the ability to separate like at will underneath. Like he's not going to run by you 5 steps and be like, oh, Christ, Ricky Pearsall just blew right by me. But he's so great with the footwork and the stops and the starts and the body control that I think he can create space in the red zone. So I do think he'll be a red zone threat, but you're right. He's not going to give them speed.
And then there's Jake Cowing, who at least was a full participant in practice. So maybe he gets inserted as a little bit of a game changer. But again, it's also a rookie wide receiver. And we know that just based on that alone, Kyle hates him with every bone in his body because Kyle hates all of his rookie wide receivers. And there's a lot of evidence to back that up.
I don't think it's hate, by the way. I don't think it's hate.
You know what I mean.
No, I know. But it's just that rookie wide receivers struggle to get open unless they have just God-given explosiveness because a lot of it's about nuance and route running, and they're not very good at it.